This is AI Buddy Landell, and you're about to listen to Booking the Territory, the unprofessional wrestling podcast. So stop working yourself into a shoot, you numbnuts. This show is strictly for entertainment purposes only. Don't be a dumbass and get offended by anything on this show. And if you do get offended, that's a you problem. Before I throw it to the fellas for another banger of an episode. Shout out to all the BTT patrons, including the largest Patreon contributors of the show, Disrespectfully Classy, Mark E. Blassie, Mike Childry, Joe Ice, Good Old Justin, and Mike H. Now enjoy this Outlaw Mud Show podcast. Remember, if it don't snow, it don't go. And be blessed and be a blessing, pal.
Hi, everybody. This is Jim Cornette, pro wrestling legend, and you're listening to the Booking the Territory Unprofessional Wrestling Podcast.
This is the artist formerly known as Daryl Van Horn, James Mitchell, the Sinister Minister, and I'm here to let you know I would rather slam my cock in a car door than to miss the dulcet tones of Hardbody Harper, my illegitimate son, on Booking the Territory podcast.
Woo, Messi, this is professional wrestler Jimmy Valiant, the Boogie Woogie Man. Tell my people and my brothers and sisters, don't you dare miss Booking the Territory. Oh, yeah.
This is the one-man gang. You're listening to Booking the Territory Pro Wrestling Podcast.
Welcome back, everyone, to this week's episode of Booking the Territory, the Unprofessional Wrestling Podcast. But today, we are covering WCW Saturday Night on TBS from April the 24th, 1993. Once again, as always, if you're listening to this on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel and make sure you hit the like button on the video. And lastly, type multiple comments. Type 4, type 5, type 6. I see you, Space Bay. You typed like 60 of them. With what you liked or didn't like about the episode, it helps the channel grow. And it helps out the YouTube numbers, all that good stuff. So thank you very much for doing that. I'm sitting here with Doc and Hardbody Harper. Let me go to you first, Doc. How are you?
Well, me personally, I'm doing all right. I'm happy to be back. I know I've been out for a couple of weeks. And I apologize. We had some life stuff and work stuff and blah, blah, blah. But, you know, we're going to this is going to be a different kind of episode. I'm going to go ahead and say I feel safe in saying we're going to go ahead and dedicate this episode, the whole episode, not just the open, but the whole episode to the memory of Robert Silva. For those of you who don't know, Mike, I know you're going to talk about it in just a second. Harper, how are you doing, though, tonight?
I'm doing fine, man. Rocking and rolling.
At least we're still, above ground, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, without further ado, and because it's probably the most serious thing we're going to talk about tonight and in a while, Mike, do you want to tell us what's going on with in regards to Robert Silva?
It's like always weird because he's not the first listener that has passed. Doug Datar years ago, he was probably one of the first listeners that I remember passing. He died of cancer very young. I don't even know if Doug had reached his 40s yet. If he was, it was very early 40s. Gentleman by the name of Randy Miller, who was from this area. He was in his late 60s, maybe even early 70s. He was a fan of the show. He grew up watching World Class before it was World Class in Texas. So that was many years ago. There's going to be others I'm not thinking of that have passed that have just slipping my mind. But so I got multiple messages Sunday morning, the 27th of October. Lance was the first person to reach out to me, and then Sparks emailed me about it, saying that, hey, can you check? Rumor is Robert Silva passed away. I said, well, let me see what I can find out. Then, long story short, I ended up contacting longtime listener Michael Angel, who had Robert's number. He did text him. He confirmed it. Robert's brother did text him back. Robert died of a heart attack. He was only 56. Robert did many shows with us. I remember Halloween Havoc, 89, 90 maybe. I don't remember which one it was. It was the one where Doom made their debut under the mask. But it's just weird, man, because you know, I mean, we're all right at getting close to that age. And you just sit there and you think, man, this is too young. You know, when we were young, that was old. But now it's like, no. I want to get at least 75 to 80 out this thing. I don't want mid 50s to be it. And it's just really weird. Robert and I, we used to go back and forth offline on stuff. So like we did many shows with him, Doc, as you remember, you were on many of them. Harper, I can't remember if Harper did a show with Silva or not, but
I don't know if I do one.
I think you might have did one live stream at one point with him, but that was it. But, man, we would go back and forth about wrestling, sports. Man, we had plenty of arguments off the record, just on stuff, life related things, but it was always cordial, man. It was always just back and forth, you know, nothing malicious, just, you know, sometimes you argue with your friends. That's the best way I could say it. Sometimes you argue with people you love, man. It's kind of just part of sports, part of you know, living, I guess. But I remember I didn't tell you this story, Doc. So or maybe I did. The last conversation I had with him was just a couple of weeks ago. My daughter's high school was playing their rival's high school in football. And you say, well, that's pretty normal. Well, Silva was like a boxing savant. He's also a music savant in R&B and rap back in the day. I mean, he's very knowledgeable on a lot of boxing sports, whether it's NBA, NFL, baseball, especially R&B, classic R&B back in the day. And I knew he was a boxing expert. So I'm like, man, this supposed world champion boxer is making an appearance at this game. I was like, do you know who this dude is? So I tell him his name, and he shoots back an answer instantly. Like, oh man, that dude is one of the best up and coming young boxers in the world today. I could have Googled him on my own, obviously. So I did Google him after it. Everything Robert told me about the dude was true. I mean, he's spitting off stats, you know, talking about this dude because he's an expert on it. Like, I mean, you can tell he's not like Googling it and then sending it to me because he's doing it way too damn quick. And, anyway, he was a funny ass cat. He was a nasty some gun too, boy. Like Michael Angel said it best to me. He said, you know, R.I.P. to the most unclassy outlaw mud show knowledgeable dude I know. Always had an opinion, always had an answer, and I'm gonna miss you. Michael Angel had posted that. I saw that when I looked on Facebook. I haven't been on Facebook. That's why Lance reached out to me. He knew I wasn't on Facebook. He was like, "What?" He's like, "Do you know what's going on?" So, but I used to like having conversations with Silva because we could argue like we hated each other, but we also got along great, and it was nothing but love. And only other thing I'll say before I throw it to Doc is I remember when he became a patron of this show. He said, I've never been a patron of a podcast, but I got to be a patron of y'all because y'all make me laugh. And he had that ridiculous gut busting laugh that he's the type of dude in school where if you were across from him, you were going to get your ass in trouble. And back in our day, probably beat and slap because you would be able to hold your laugh in, but that son of a bitch would laugh so loud that there's no way in hell you were going to hold it in because you saw him laughing and heard him. And he had that infectious laugh, man, that just was ridiculous. So I got some audio I'm going to play at the end of this episode from the time that me, Sparks, and Silva were doing a live stream. And Harper said we sounded like Taz, New Jack, and Tracy Smothers. I'm going to play the audio from that YouTube clip at the end of this show because Silva's laugh is ridiculous on that. And that was the episode where we talked about why Harper breaks his headsets all the time. He's now on his like fifth one. This time his girlfriend bought his last one, I believe, fifth or sixth.
This one's been
so.
lasting.
I wonder why. Did Tiffany buy a reinforced one?
I think it's made out of titanium. Just the same stuff they make the space shuttles out of.
Very good. So there we go. That one's lasted. But let me go to you, Doc. I know you said you wanted to say some stuff too.
Yeah, I always had told you, and we had talked about it. Like, I always thought a great idea for a show. And here's the thing: he knew more about his side of the aisle on this than I did on mine. But I thought it would be a great idea to do a thing where, for patrons, where like he gives me an old R&B or rap or funk record, and I would listen to it and tell him, honestly, here's what I think, here's what I heard, blah, 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 blah. And I would give him some like either classic rock or 90s alternative band or whatever, and try to, pick a good band that, and break it down where it wasn't black versus white music. It was good music is good music. And see if we can like learn a little bit along the way. And we always thought it was a good idea. It's just, when do you do these things? Right. And so we never did that. And I always thought that would be a great idea. I also thought it would have been a great idea to have a third guy in the booth on that, which would have been Fritz. But that might have caved the world in if he and I were in the same place at the same time.
Yeah. By the way, he did say, when I posted that, we were talking about that on one of the Ask Macho Mike episodes. He did respond, and this posted like right before you were out for the last few weeks.
Yeah.
He did say, "Oh yeah, I would love to do that," because we were talking about it. And I'm looking for it, and I can't find the comment right now. But
and what's weird is that his last tweet was about the Jets being the same way they are now for years after he dies.
That's just crazy.
Well, that trash.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
What I liked about Silva is because it's easy in this environment to just, first of all, I'd like to think that we have fun and you're accepted around here and you don't have to do a whole lot. But I also like it when guys contribute to things. And that guy had a ton of knowledge and interest in things to contribute facts and supplement. And I like guys you can learn something from.
Yeah.
He might tell you who was playing bass on Rufus and Shaka Khan's record there. And I'd be like, damn, I didn't know that was him. Oh, yeah, that was him, motherfucker. You might learn something from a guy like him. Imagine that. But I would say that, to keep it simple tonight, the one thing that I went back to this weekend when I was thinking about it is there was a show that you and I recorded with him. It might have been that Havoc you're talking about. It was certainly in that period where he told us that Luger stood on his head, basically, to use a hockey term, for a long stretch of time. And he's like, y'all are going to see it. Luger was tremendous in like 89 and 90.
He said that a million times before we even got to it.
So we did a pay-per-view, and I think he was, and Luger was doing it again. But that's not the point. We got off the air, and I think it was the first time Silva and I had really interacted with one another. And it was kind of weird because he kind of was like, man, I didn't know how to take you at first coming on here. And I was like, what does that mean? It's Friday morning. What do you think I'm going to be hammered?
You always working heel.
Well, that's what he said. He goes, man, look, you're really good at working heel, but I thought Mike was right. You were working heel. But he goes, I can tell now that, I've been here with you for a couple of hours. You're a good dude.
Oh.
And he goes, and I can tell also, he goes, what gives it away on the air is how you talk about your kids. But I can just sit across from you, even though we're not sitting in the same room, and I can tell you're a good dude. I was like, I appreciate that. That's good. So that was my takeaway from Silva. He did have opinions on everything.
Oh man. Yeah, he was not devoid of opinions. He always had something to say. And that's why I say we would go back and forth sometimes. There were things we disagreed on. There was one thing in particular I remember was like, Rob, you're just wrong on this, man. You're just wrong. And he was like, all right, well, I can respect that. Cause he was saying we just disagree respectfully. Anyway, it's funny, Doc. So he passed away on, I believe, October 21st. It was October 13th. He said, anytime Doc wants to do his music show suggestion, I'm down. That was one of the Ask Mike episodes where he had gotten in a bunch of questions about some stuff. Here is quintessential.
One of my favorite questions that he asked me a couple of times ago on Ask Doc Anything was my all-time 5 starting lineup for the Mavericks, and he liked it because I came in with Sam Perkins, which to me made perfect sense. But he's like, I was wondering if you were going to mention him, and I did.
So here was also I got to say this because this is Rob Silva to a T, because he was a nasty sumbitch.
Come on.
He said, this is from Tyrone Butler on Patreon. We got asked a question about the top R&B singers from our era, groups from our era. Silva asked me, and then Tyrone said, Mike, I love you, bro, but come on. Jodeci at the top is a preference. I'll give you that. But Boyz II Men at 5, Silk ahead of the best-selling R&B act of all time, and they're not timeless. He's talking about Boyz II Men because he said I underrated Boyz II Men. He said, me and the other 10,000 in attendance at a show about a month back would say otherwise. I'm admittedly a mark, but Boyz II Men got skins on the wall, period.
So you're saying Jodeci is bigger than Boyz II Men?
I didn't say they were bigger. I said they were better, in my opinion. Those are two different things. Okay.
All right.
So I went on to say, look, I don't mind Boyz II Men, but my preference is Jodeci. And I said a couple more things.
MAC, BBD. Remember that?
So, yes, Tyrone goes on to say, I agree. Jodeci is from my state, but I still roll with Boyz II Men. And then he said, also, gotta agree with Silva. Mint Condition and Tony would have been better than Shy and Silk. And then Silva comes into the conversation and says, I made love to women with both Jodeci and Boyz II Men on in the background. Same with Silk and Mint Condition. He just runs in with that. He was always full of just dirty, filthy debauchery. And Tyrone goes back and says, Silva, I appreciate the sentiment, but I didn't need to know all that info on how your game was worked back in the day. But thanks for still keeping it classy. That was Robert Silva to a T. We're having this R&B discussion. Now, he asked about these groups, and he starts chiming in, talking about, yeah, I slayed these women to all of them back in the day. Anyway, I had to mention that, but yeah. It sucks.
Man, here's another thing, and I say this, I've said this before. If you're around our age, it's a pretty good habit to make sure you go get a yearly physical. Yes. I actually get blood work done every six months. You don't know what you're carrying around from your hereditary factors that you don't know you have, and you don't want to find that out till it's too late.
Yeah, and it's mostly men listening to this. So if you listen to this, I know most of y'all are around our age, a little older, maybe a little younger. Go get checked out. I'm Harper. I'm doing the whatchamacallit right before Christmas. It's already scheduled. Up the.
So they actually doing it like up the rear end?
I mean, I get to drink the potion, and they're gonna stick the thing.
A colonoscopy.
Yeah, what you and Doc had. I'm getting this. I'm saying it to say, man, look, I mean, Silva had a heart attack, but like Doc, I had blood work done recently. Everything was fine. But Dr. Blassie has said it a bunch of times on the show when he's on. He's like, guys, take care of your health. I don't want to get on the healthcare system in America rant right now. I know things ain't perfect, but we gotta take care of ourselves. Ain't nobody gonna take it. I mean, look, man. Nobody's gonna take care of you, so you better take care of yourself. So, and I'm not saying Silva didn't do that or anything. It's just, look, when I heard heart attack 56, my first thought was, Jesus Christ, that's too young. It's just too young.
For real.
I mean,
we're gonna dedicate this entire episode to his memory. We're gonna miss him. Show won't be the same without him in the patron world.
That
Dude,
sucks, man.
Let me tell you, y'all wouldn't see it obviously because it would be he'd email me or he'd tweet directly to me, and I wasn't like I wouldn't always like respond openly on Twitter and what, but I mean every single time we did a show, he would always tell me beforehand. He's like, I can't wait to see what y'all say about this. And then I can't wait to see what y'all say about that. Every single week, almost every week, either he'd tweet it to me or send it to me personally. I can't wait to see what y'all think about this. Like he was always in the pay-per-views. He really looked forward to those. He was like, because like, they would, we'd reach a point where with a feud, with a match, he's like, man, you wait till you see, he was mainly because he knew Doc hadn't seen it before. He's like, wait till y'all see this. And I can't wait to see what y'all think about that. And the thing that always got me about that was like Silva was one of the smart fans, with the newsletters and stuff. So he already had heard all the opinions from the so-called Dave Meltzer of the world, the experts and stuff. But he always came back to, I can't wait to see what y'all think about this. I just watched, he would tell me, he's like, I just watched the pay-per-view. I'm looking forward to seeing when it drops on whatever day. And I'm like, man, I appreciate that more than I could ever state. And he's not the only one. Obviously, a lot of people do that. That's why they're patrons and listen to us. But it's one of those things that's like, man, I get joy out of the fact that people like what us three mud show idiots have to say about 30-year-old wrestling. I don't know how else to say it. So, but he would always say that all the time. Every single time he interacted with me. Just couldn't wait to see what we had to say about the next episode. This episode we're going to do tonight with Cactus and Vader, he would have had a lot to say about this to me behind the scenes or even on Twitter. Just, telling me his thoughts on it and, saying what he thought about what we thought about it. So it's one of those things, man. It sucks. 56 is too young. I don't know what else to say. So dedicated to him. What'd you say, Doc? I didn't mean to cut you off, but go ahead.
No, man, I think that's it. And I think in his honor, the best thing we can go do is talk about this episode and get back to business.
Yeah, let me open up the video version. I will say this. One of the beauties of this show is, Doc wanted to do that episode with Silva where they talked about music. They were going to talk about two different genres. But, Doc and Silva come from two different backgrounds. But the commonality of old school wrestling is what brings a lot of us together on this show. So, I don't know. I've only been in New York one time. I used to always say I couldn't wait to go there. Couldn't wait to go back because I would have loved to, talk to Silva, but, meet him in person. Never happened. And I was telling Michael Angel, I was like, it really sucks because I was thinking one of these days I'd get back there and we'd meet and hang out and, bullshit and whatnot. But, it's one of those things where it never happens. That's why I always look forward to X-Rated. It's a time for all us clowns and idiots and to get together and enjoy wrestling and, tell Luke Hawks he's not booking his shit right and all that stuff. So, yeah, man, it sucks. I got the video version open now, though, so I'm going to start recording. Give me a second, Doc. I will share my screen with you and Harper.
All right, Harper, what happened last week between Cactus and Vader, man? Did they get after it? Did somebody die? What happened?
I think Cactus Jack hope he had Obamacare because he got fucked up.
Why?
Yeah.
Jesus.
I
just had to. You just got it. You got to work somebody into a shoot, huh? He knows.
Bro, I saw a sign. So like last week, it's like get Obamacare. Call 1-800. I was like, look at these motherfuckers, bro. There was no such thing as Obamacare.
What are you talking about right now? What? It
wasn't called that.
No, it's called the Affordable Care Act. Why?
Right. But they still calling it that shit. And he hasn't been president in fucking, 10 years?
What's good about it is if you like him, you call it that because you like it. And if you don't, you call it that because you don't like it. But that's got sticking power.
Right.
Yeah.
It's got... Oh, boy. Wow.
Anyway, my God. You get so easily distracted.
No, I'm just listening. I'm like, where's he going with this? I'm always, dude, when you say some things, sometimes I just like, I shut up. I got to see, all right, where's the angle here? All right. Well, let's get into it. We are talking, what was it? April the 24th, 1993, Saturday night on TBS. What you about to say, Harper?
Yeah, when Cactus, he was a punching bag for Vader. He was a sparring partner.
And I believe, Doc, you did watch last week's match, even though you weren't with us. You saw the abuse Cactus took, right?
It was a lot.
So in catching Doc up here, because he hasn't heard, obviously, that episode, not that he would have listened to it, but Cactus took live rounds to the face. The goal was to basically break his nose, bloody him up. They did some creative editing, as you know, from what Crockett was telling us. It was Bischoff who actually got that match aired. They didn't even want to air it because of how bloody Cactus was. But if you look, his face is pretty bloody right there. It's hard to tell, but they pan out a lot so that you can't see the blood. And that's how they were able to creatively edit it in them panned out shots where they allowed it to make air on TBS. And you can thank Eric Bischoff for that, according to Cactus's book. So
Well, does he have did he shoot a promo afterwards, all like bloody and, wait till I get my hands on you and yada yada?
that's what Crockett was saying. They called him back days later to shoot the promo.
That's right, yeah.
Now he's got a promo in this one I'll talk about it in a minute when we get to it, but he's got a promo in this one too, where there's something I have to say about that from what Dusty told him, but I'll talk about that in a minute when we get to it. But so we had that match with Cactus. He took this ridiculous beating, broken nose, busted open. He's bleeding. You really can't see it because of the editing. It was really good. And then we're going to get the match this week. Now, Doc, anything before I jump into the episode and just start going through the first match?
Good to be back. Let's hit it.
All right. So this was taped, I believe, either April 18th or 19th, according to historyofwwe.com. The first match is Too Cold Scorpio and Marcus Bagwell versus Tony Vincent and Paul Lee. This is the whoop, there it is era, as we've said before. It's ridiculous. That's all people are doing. If you're watching on the
Mike
video
in the ring
version,
dancing there.
Yeah, that's him.
I was about to say, if you're watching on the video version, the dancing going on in the ring is hilarious. But I need to point y'all attention to Paul Lee and Tony Vincent. At one point, they do this side angle. And they're looking at these kids like, well, these little shits get out of here. Look at Paul Lee and this thing. The brother in the middle was getting it, though. I mean, look at him.
When Paul Ellering brought children to the ring.
I totally agree. And they weren't just in the ring. They were in the basement. Well, there wasn't a basement, but they were in the lower level of the...
we call that
I
think in some religions they call that the confession room.
Okay.
Oh, come on.
Grow up. You know, we just R.I.P. somebody and this is what you go to.
He would have thought that was funny.
Oh my God. You know how many times he told me he was just walking down the streets of New York and listening to the show and he would just burst out laughing at something Harper said. And he's like, and Mike, you know my laugh. You know how loud it is. Yes, I do. He's like, people will look at me like, what the hell is wrong with this asshole? All right. So the first match, Scorpio Bagwell versus Vincent and Paul Lee. Doc, anything from this one?
No, it was quick. They're looking good together, and certainly, I think they're going to be in the tag team hunt. Ventura said not yet. They need some more experience.
And they do. I mean, they're new together. But you notice they're dressing alike now. You see the tights?
That's right. Yeah. Ebony and Ivory, bro.
Well, after the match, we do get the Cole twins to come in the ring. And, boy, if this ain't some...
Man, Jesus Christ.
Can you describe the Cole twins dancing here?
Man, this is... Thank you.
Achy, breaky, big mistakey.
God. Why are you saying thank you?
Because they were doing this horrible dance, and now they got jumped by, what are they called?
Wrecking Crew in Shanghai
right,
and its Schlesinger.
Right.
Outlaws or something.
Yeah, Shanghai, Lubbock, or whatever his name is.
And that put an end to it.
Right.
So
that
from
put it into the worst dance off ever.
I don't know. We saw one like that last week too.
Yeah, dude. I mean, look at these assholes. Jesus.
He's got a point.
All right. Well, on that note, we're going to go now to a promo from Cactus Jack. First, we're going to hear from Jesse.
What'd you say?
Jack. Don't do that.
That sure sounded like he came from the country of Japan.
Okay. Jesus Christ. When was I ever an eloquent speaker?
Now you see how I feel when somebody trying to buy you.
Is that you trying to do JYD?
No, that's me doing you doing JYD.
Oh, yeah, I got confused. I got lost.
I got lost too. Jesus. All right. This promo, let's go to Cactus Jack now.
Tonight, Tony and Jesse back here at ringside. You know, Jesse, a week ago, that was a brutal match between Cactus Jack and Big Van Vader. And like I said at the end of the program, I'm not so sure I'm going to be around or want to be around for the rematch, but it is here, it is signed, it is going to be quite a confrontation.
Well, I'll tell you, Shivani, I've never accused Cactus Jack of being brilliant. I've never accused him of being a brain surgeon. He had a tremendous win last week against Big Van Vader, but I personally think he's let his ego get in the way, coming back this week so quickly to face the world champion again.
I would agree. Cactus Jack right now is making his way towards us. You can hear the fans here and the cheers, the applause for this athlete out of Truth or Consequences, New Mexico, after what we saw last week. Now this man, 27 stitches, broken nose, a concussion. Big Van Vader says, I want you one more time. You don't have to look for me. What's going through your mind about getting back in the ring with Big Van Vader?
When you step in the ring with Big Van Vader, a lot of things go through your mind. It's been a very big week for me. A week of high mountains and low valleys. You understand? The biggest win of my career, but the worst beating of my life. So now you step in the ring again with Big Van Vader and lots of things are flashing through my mind. The cheers of the fans, it's something new. Something I need to get used to. Fear. Fear's nothing new in my life, you understand? My fear is okay. What I'm gonna do out here may surprise a lot of people. I'm gonna talk about something very un-Cactus Jackish. What I'm talking about is my family. People may find it hard to understand, but I got a wife and a little baby boy who think their dad's about the greatest thing in the world. And when I stepped out of that hospital, I saw something in their eyes I'd never seen before. It was fear. It was a look saying, Daddy, don't climb back in the ring with Big Van Vader. Because he did this to me! He did this to me! But I've got to, you see, this thing's way above me. It's way above Big Van Vader. It's above anything I've ever taken part in. I've got to do it. But Vader, win, lose, or draw, this is the last time. If you can take me out, if you can put Cactus Jack down, then you do it. You've got my respect. You've got my awe. But I've got something that very few people do. A win over the world champion. So tonight, Big Van Vader, rest assured, as I hold on to the things dearest to my life, I'm telling you, you hold on for the ride of your life. You want to destroy Cactus Jack, understand something and understand it very well. I've been trying to do the same thing for most of my 27 years and couldn't get the job done. Neither will you. Neither will you. Bang, bang.
Okay, that's from Cactus Jack. Let's go to Jesse Ventura. Jesse?
So before Vader cut that, he said he talked to Dusty, and Dusty was like, "Kid, don't think about it too much what you're gonna say. I just want you to go out there and be natural, kid." So like he said Dusty just wanted him to speak with emotion. He said he didn't want him to like think too much about it beforehand. He just said, go out there and speak from the heart. And I think you can kind of tell when you listen to that, because it kind of starts off a little slow, in my opinion, but then it takes a while. He's modest, but he finally gets going near the end. But Doc, what'd you think?
First of all, the whole part of you're going to destroy me. I've been trying to do that for 27 years and can't get it figured out was a really powerful line. Second of all, this is the same stuff that they had right in their hands that WWF made a ton of money with.
Boy, that's true. I didn't think about that until you said it. WCW, man.
Yeah, that's crazy, huh? It's crazy how many gyms they had and just you gotta
let's go back to Van Hammer.
Right.
That's what the kids want. Yeah, so I thought he was great there. I like the quiet bang bang. That's a really effective way for that promo to end. I thought he was really good here. They've got something, but to be honest, and this is the truth, and I hate to sound like a Bischoff here, they got to figure something out because they can't keep they can't keep going back to that well of violence repeatedly on a weekly basis.
Well, I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but yeah, I hear you.
Well, the point is like, it's not because, I mean, it's because they can't keep up with it, right?
Well, no, you can't keep doing it every single week.
Yeah, I mean, you can't keep doing that. It's like Jerry Springer's. How many times can you come out and see the girlfriend run out and charge them and start fighting and they pull hair?
Is she wearing a bra?
Oh, come on. If she's classy, yes. Right, Mike?
Don't pull me into this.
You need pulled into this for sure.
I ain't pulling. No. I love how he always says that, right, Mike? No.
Right?
He always wants to, he's like, he needs my buy-in and sign off, man. I ain't co-signing shit. Nope. No. Yeah, I thought it was good, and I mean, we're going to obviously see what they do at the end of this episode. And we'll leave it at that because we're going to get to it.
Okay.
Any other thoughts, Harper?
No. Damn it.
Ricky Steamboat is taking on Fury from the Wrecking Crew. Before we actually have the match, Ventura says Steamboat was supposed to have a match with his partner, Shane Douglas versus the Wrecking Crew, but it appears Douglas has some sort of airplane problem getting here. Now, according to the history of WWE.com, Douglas had an injured shoulder at this time. But I can also tell you that he's done with the company after May 7th of 1993. It airs on the May 8th Power Hour episode. So he's still here right now, but Jesse claims a shoulder injury. That's why he's not here at the moment. He'll be here later. We'll see it in a second. Anyway, Doc, thoughts on this match?
Not a lot, man. I was like, Douglas is probably out with Francine in the parking lot, if you know what I mean.
Oh, come on, man. What's wrong with you?
He used to have I heard him cut a promo like that once. Usually I'm in the back getting, okay.
That's nice.
Jesse asked Tony if he thinks Cactus's wife is four-legged or two-legged.
Yeah, Jesse don't care, man. He's just letting it fly. He's also asking how dumb Douglas is to miss a flight.
Yeah.
He's like, how stupid is he?
I feel like the Wrecking Crew is if like the Road Warriors took a poop in the floor and Public Enemy took a poop in the floor. And then somebody stepped on it and mushed it all together and said, now we have the Wrecking Crew.
It's an indie level tag team.
It is very generic.
Yeah. There's nothing there. Boogie, nothing about you said. And there's nothing against the two guys. It's just,
no,
we've seen in this promotion heel tag teams that were impressive, right? And
dominant.
dominant. And you look at this and you're like, come on, we're trying to pass this off as some kind of vicious team, the Wrecking Crew.
Even the name.
Yeah. It's not good. No, and nothing they do. I mean, it's been months now. Nothing they do, you look at and go, oh yeah, this is good. It's just blah. Like even to me, Tex, Slashinger, and Shanghai are better than them. This is bad.
Yeah.
And no kind of booking would save them because they're too generic.
Right.
I mean, these guys are getting booked better than the State Patrol, and the State Patrol had more charisma than them. That's just Mike opinion.
Okay.
Take it for what it's worth. All right, Doc. Any thoughts before we go towards the finish of this one?
Oh no.
All right. So Steamboat had a sleeper on Fury. They break the sleeper. Steamboat is then in a corner being held by Rage. Fury goes to hit Steamboat. Steamboat moves. They collide. Steamboat then rolls up Fury. Family Man Steamboat wins 1, 2, 3 in a match that just did not matter. I can't say the fans didn't care because there were some cheers in there, but nobody cares about the Wrecking Crew. And yeah. I mean, even wrestling a guy like Steamboat isn't elevating them. That's kind of just my thoughts.
This was like, this is one of those house show matches where somebody canceled.
Yeah. And it was cool if you're in center stage because you get to see Ricky Steamboat, but yeah, that's that. We then go to Ric Rude, Doc versus Ben Jordan. Ben Jordan attacks Rude as Rude is taking his robe off. That might have been a bit of a mistake. You probably remember Ben Jordan from Smoky Mountain Wrestling. Thoughts, Doc, on this? I do have a timestamp at 1940.
Having a hard time concentrating. Luca just hobbled to the back with a knee injury.
Oh, God.
Oh, no.
Shit. Oh, my God. He's going to be ruined for the rest of the night.
1935. Let's look at this clothesline.
I have that. I have that.
This is a clothesline.
Watch it. Well, we're almost at it. So we're at 1930.
Yeah.
Here it comes. Bam.
You stop now.
And now watch. He's going to drop him over the top rope too. It's vicious as well. Watch. Bam.
Oh, shit. That was worse than the clothesline.
Right. That's what I had. That was my note. I was like, that actually was worse than the clothesline. He just drops him over the top rope. And it was pretty bad. And then from there, well, it's not much better because we're going to get the Rude Awakening and then
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, we're going to get a win here shortly. So anyway, Doc, any other thoughts? Rude actually goes to the top rope here. Doesn't knee drop off the top rope, which I don't want to say you never see him do it, but it's crazy.
I've never seen him do that.
Well, I thought I was like, is that his way of taking a shot at Watts' old top rope rule? Because here's the thing. Remember how Watts in his quadratic equation said, if the man is laying prone in the ring, you can't drive the knee into the back of the neck or the throat. Look how Rude knees him. He's in the back of the neck as he's laying prone in the ring. So I was like, I wonder if he did that to say, fuck you, Bill Watts.
Maybe.
I don't know. Yeah. All right. So any other thoughts, Doc, before we go to the promo?
No, let's hit the promo.
All right. So after the match, Ric Rude is at ringside with Tony Schiavone. Here it is.
All right, Jesse, we need to ask, and Jesse and I were talking about this, Ravishing Ric Rude. You're looking around here. What are you looking at? What are you looking for? What's going on here?
That's none of your business. You're here to talk about wrestling.
All right, let's talk about wrestling, in particular the U.S. title. On WCW Worldwide Wrestling, the Computerized Contender Challenge happens during the month of May. It was announced this weekend. And it was announced that Kensuke Sasaki, based on the computer, gets a shot at Dustin Rhodes and his U.S. title. What's your reaction to that?
Political rhetoric. It's nothing
but a last dire attempt of the WCW officials to prevent the inevitable. But sooner or later, it's going to be put up or shut up time, Dustin. Then you're going to have to back up all the things you've been saying. Then you're going to have to prove if you're man enough to be called United States champion. And me, I'm going to have to prove to you, to the WCW officials, and to all those people who are living to see me die, that it's not going to happen. Not in your lifetime. So I'll be patient, and I'll wait till the match has been signed and we step into the ring. But I will be here next week, Dustin. And if you get into my face in any way, shape, or form, or you say anything out of line, forget about the belt. I'm gonna rip your head off.
Ravishing Ric Rude. More action here on TBS. Stay with us.
Thoughts, Doc, on Ric Rude right there threatening to rip Dustin's head off?
I believe him.
Yeah.
Yeah, for real, huh?
I
It
wonder
sucks.
if
Every
looking...
time I see him, I know we're getting close to the end. We're getting closer.
Too close.
Yeah.
Because he's so much better than I remember.
Yeah.
And I liked him then.
Right.
That's crazy for you to even say that, because it's not like you didn't like him.
I know. But he's so much better than even that. You can always grow and learn, Mike.
You would have
Yeah,
made okay. You would have made one in 1987 that was like, Jesus Christ, this guy was vicious. when he called Wahoo, what he called him.
Yeah, why don't you say what that was?
Nah, it's all right. Nobody's clipping that.
Say,
Making
Mike?
me sound.
Say it.
Nope. You say it.
Come on, get yourself canceled. Come on.
What do you call him?
You say it.
What'd he say?
A commander. A Washington commander.
I didn't quite call him that.
No, I forget.
By the way, I inserted a beep a few weeks ago.
It started with the S?
When Harper said something.
Yes.
And everybody thinks it was something worse.
No.
Harper has a problem when he's explaining groups of people.
That's nice.
He'll
What's that supposed to mean?
Because like you don't know, like instead of saying gay people, you say the in front of that.
The gays.
Or instead of saying black people, you say the. And I'm like, you sound like a racist boomer, but I know you're not one, but it sounds like that.
The blacks.
See, that's what he like. I'm like, Harper's the furthest thing from a racist, but it's the way he says it. I'm like, dude, chill out. Anyway, I insert a beep. The funniest thing about this show is if I insert a beep, immediately the worst thing comes to somebody's mind.
Oh yeah.
All right, we'll say that again, Harper.
What'd he say?
Okay, I'm not saying what. I'm not saying what Ric Rude said. You can go back and read and see those promos if you want. Let's continue the show. So we go to the Slamboree Control Center, and they're presenting it through this music. I don't want to play it because it'll get me a strike on YouTube. But Bischoff tells us that Barry Windham will battle Arn Anderson with the NWA title on the line at Slamboree. Gordon solely talks about Lord James Blears, Dusty Rhodes, the Assassin, Blackjack Mulligan. They then show a clip from 1981 with Blackjack Mulligan, and Mulligan is cutting a promo on Sergeant Slaughter. I guess a nice promo. Bischoff tells us to call our cable company to order the pay-per-view. That's Slamboree 93, which is coming up next month. Doc, any thoughts on this segment? Did you like it? Did you hate it? What'd you think?
I like seeing the blackjack stuff. I thought it was a little bit rich that Bischoff is talking about the history and roots of wrestling, but whatever.
Why do you hate Bischoff? We get that question sometimes.
What?
We get that question sometimes. Why do you hate Bischoff? Because you're kind of very condescending towards him.
I think that his Eazy-E character in NWO was a lot more how he was in real life than he likes to admit.
You saying he's a prick?
You said it, not me.
I'm asking.
I wonder what Gordon thought of Bischoff.
Oh boy. So, hey, if you keep paying me, I'll keep showing up.
Eric, if you bring me enough beef eater.
I need some scotch, yeah.
Man, when you saw that old promo of when Mulligan, how much did him and Barry look alike?
God no, huh?
That was fun.
I never noticed it when I was younger, but now when I see it, it's
definitely when he does the new Blackjack gimmick, he looks just like him with the black mustache.
I hope y'all been talking about this in my absence. Slamboree is one of those things that I like because I want to see these guys. But if I'm trying to sell toys and T-shirts and all of this shit, why am I going to roll out a bunch of old men?
I guess they're trying to get I guess they're just trying to get those people back.
They're throwing poop against the wall to see.
Right. They're like, let's come out with a strawberry Coke, then a vanilla Coke,
and then a strawberry vanilla Coke.
Yeah.
The Harper nailed it. They're trying to get the people back that are no longer going to wrestling, that went to wrestling just 10 years before this, or even 8 years before this, or 6 years before this.
Like I said,
5 years before this.
That's true too.
I want to see it. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
And oh, by the way, just so you know, Harper, we're not in the starting lineup for that particular.
You know what? Don't be an asshole. We talked about this offline beforehand, and now you want to just be a freaking prick about it.
Just to let everybody know when to cancel their subscriptions. This guy over here.
We already talked about this.
Plan.
We already talked about this,
look,
and you want to be a dick.
I don't want to deal with you and Harper on that week, so I'm gonna have Crockett come in and do it with
me. It's a bullpen game.
Right.
In basketball, they call it load management.
Yeah, I got some load management right here.
All right. Well, we continue the show. Bobby Eaton is taking on Eric Watts. Shivani teases bad blood between Arn and Bobby because Bobby cost Arn a match versus Eric. And I guess we need to see what happens if there's any truth to that as we proceed. Anyway, Doc, I don't really have a ton from this. Eric Watts continues to bore me. Bobby Eaton is now definitely on the path of criminally being misused.
Yeah.
Because the Dangerous Alliance is over. I mean, we've just reached a point where it's like, I don't want to say it's downhill for Bobby because I don't think his skills are gone. I just think it's just they're not going to use him appropriate at this stage of the game. But your thoughts on the match?
I didn't like it because of everything that happened.
You broke up. Say that again. Did your power cord come out or something? Because we can't even hear you now. All right, I'll pretend like Doc can't hear me since he's
Yeah, I'm having some connection issues, so I'm working on it over here.
Gotcha. I heard you say you didn't like it, which I can agree with, but Bobby Eaton is not being used appropriately here. So we'll go to the finish though. Watts puts the STF on Bobby. We get a Chris Benoit sighting. Benoit comes out and comes off the top rope and does that diving headbutt off the top rope onto Watts. So Bobby is then DQ'd because of that. Then Arn's going to come out and he saves Watts from Bobby and Benoit's beat down. And Jesse is confused and can't believe Arn saved Watts after Watts almost cost Arn his career, kayfabe, with the knee injury. Wink, wink. And I actually got to credit Jesse for questioning that because it is really weird that Arn would come out and help Eric Watts after everything they've been through.
Yeah, why is this?
It's weird.
It's stupid.
It's very weird. It's very weird. I don't get it. I mean, he's literally helping him right there. It just doesn't make sense.
This makes no sense. He jumped him at a gas station.
Right.
And that was like, oh, all right, bro.
And he just was cutting a promo. The birdie is the
right.
whatever's left the nest. I don't get it, man. Don't get it.
I don't either.
But on that note, we're going to go to Arn's promo. He is ringside with Shivani after the match. Let's see what he's got to say. There it is.
All right, Arn making his way over here. And Arn, I tell you, I know on the main event a couple of weeks ago, a lot of bad blood started to build between you and Beautiful Bobby, and seemingly that is not over.
Tony Schiavone, 3 months ago, if you told me any of this would be happening, I'd call you a liar. Bobby Eaton, you went your own way. A lot of things are going to be resolved between you and I. Eric Watts showed me one thing. He's got more guts than I thought he did, and he doesn't have to pay for the sins of his father anymore. He's his own man. But one thing I got to tell you, Bobby Eaton, you got a problem with me. We're going to solve it. Maybe I'll have to take a partner, somebody like Eric Watts, since apparently you've got one. Now you're running around with Slash and your Shanghai Pierce. Tomorrow night, Shanghai Pierce, you want some of me? You're going to get it. And Barry Windham, the thing that is in my focus, the one thing that is first and foremost on my mind, my friend, is we got a date. And we're not going to hold hands or play kissy face. We got a date, my friend, for that title, and I'm coming for you. Trust me.
It will be at Slamboree for the NWA title on May 23rd. Coming back, the World TV title on the line. Stay with us.
So obviously they're talking about stuff going on secondary shows here, but then at the end, Arn's plugging his match with Barry at Slamboree for the NWA title. So it's just really weird because it seems like way too quick. All of a sudden, he's respecting Eric Watts now. I don't get that part of it, but
yeah, I mean, whatever. I mean, this is no.
Yeah,
he can't get Eric over.
Right.
Yeah.
If I was Eric Watts, I'll be waiting for that phone call. Oh, sorry, man. I don't have anything for you.
So you can go home and just collect the check, is what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, it's I mean, since his dad's not there.
Yeah, that's got to be weird for him.
Right.
Okay, so Doc, any other thoughts on that promo?
No, I mean, maybe we should take this over to Smoky Mountain and finish it. Put old Arn under a white sheet. Oh, whoa, sorry about that.
Come on.
You got to explain what you mean by that.
You see?
I have a feeling that most everybody listening to this knows that they brought him out as a special surprise, and he was covered in a white sheet.
I'm trying to remember what Harper said during that episode, because I think we were talking about the fact that he had a white sheet over him, and Harper was making KKK jokes. I'm like, am I remembering that wrong? Doc, does that sound right?
I think Cornette made a KKK joke. Didn't he say something like, oh, that's not the first time you saw someone in his parts wearing a sheet or something like that?
Come on.
That actually sounds right, but I thought you also started talking about these people. This is a normal scene to them. Like, I felt like you said something like that, because I feel like I got some hate mail that particular week about the KKK jokes, as if we were promoting the KKK as being a good thing. It's the weirdest thing.
That's never happened on this show.
Right. Like, no, we don't like those hateful assholes. Like, come on. Anyway, I can't remember. Like, now I'm going to have to go back and find that episode and listen to it, but it was something. Anyway, all right. Let's continue. We go to Paul Orndorff versus Ron Simmons. This is for Orndorff's World TV title. But Gary Michael Capetta is trying to say there's a stipulation for the match, but the music is too loud and you can't hear what the stipulation is. So welcome to WCW, I guess. Thankfully, Shivani clears it up and tells us what the stipulation is. I hated this. Let me explain. So the TV title is on the line, but it's only on the line for the first 10 minutes of the match. So if Simmons wins after 10 minutes expires, he doesn't win the belt. And as soon as I heard that, I'm like, okay, I don't remember this from when it first aired, but that means Ron Simmons is going to win this, because you're literally telling me what's about to happen.
Right.
So anyway, the fans love Ron Simmons. They're waving their hands in the air like they don't care. Blah, blah, blah. It's great. We got the Paula chants going. Same old gimmick. Doc, your thoughts on this and the stipulation?
Here's why it's dumb. If I'm fighting for a belt and then all of a sudden I'm not fighting for the belt, I'm just going to roll out of the ring and wait for the time next time that I am fighting for the belt.
Yeah, that's bullshit. Why would you keep going and risk injury if you know
Correct.
I'm not going to win this title?
Yeah. I feel okay. So someone out there will correct me, I'm sure, but I feel like whenever we used to see World
Looks like
TV
Lucas
title
starting the
match-
second half, boys.
Okay, there you go. I feel like when we used to see World TV title matches, it was always 10 minutes, and if the person didn't
10
win,
minutes or television time remaining.
it was over. Like I feel like that was the case in the old studio days. So I'm like, the minute you say if you don't win in the first 10 minutes, it's like a red flag.
You're
that
overbooking
says,
it needlessly, and I don't believe you anymore.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so Doc, any other thoughts on this? They have a good match. There's nothing wrong with it. The problem is because you heard that stipulation, you knew it was going to go more than 10 minutes when Orndorff loses.
Yeah, these are two big bastards, obviously. It's a slow start. At 43 minutes, there was almost a shoot pin, though.
Let me go back to it.
I thought. We'll see if I'm right.
Oh, the backslide. Yeah. When he does a backslide, Ron has him hooked so good. It's like Orndorff can't get his arms out. And Orndorff was fighting to get out of it. Yeah.
We almost
and you don't see the
our...
pin. You don't see the pin. You don't actually see the pin happening. Like, good thing they were zoomed in enough.
Yeah. Interesting finish to keep it alive, but this is dumb.
The finish. So this is Orndorff tries pile driving Simmons, but Simmons doesn't let him. And then we get a power slam by Ron Simmons, which looks really good, but Orndorff kicks out. And then we get a couple more false finishes. And during those false finishes, the 10-minute time limit does expire. But the match, like we talked about, keeps going. So then Dustin Rhodes comes out. He throws Orndorff back into the ring as Orndorff was trying to get a breather. And then Simmons then rolls up Orndorff for the win. But again, since it didn't happen in the first 10 minutes of this match, Orndorff retains. So it was actually a solid match, but I can't say it again. It felt like you knew the outcome just based on the fact that they said, oh, he's got to win within the first 10 minutes. Just it felt like a lazy stipulation. And I know Dusty's kind of running things, but I'm like, I don't get it. This doesn't make sense. And there's that. All right. Any other thoughts, Doc, before we continue?
No.
Did we lose you, Doc?
No, I'm here.
Okay. We go to Scott Norton versus Johnny Gunn. Quick match. You weren't here for Scott Norton.
No, man. Norton looks good, too.
Big bastard.
Yeah.
He's a big son of a bitch.
Look at that big motherfucker. There you go.
That's a big son of a gun, bro. Every time I see him now, I think of the story from
North Korea.
North Korea. Yeah. I can't. He's on the phone trying to call his wife, can't get in touch with her, finally gets in touch with her after half a day. He's like, these fucking people here, they got us locked up, and it's like they bum rush his room with guns or whatever. He's like, oh my God, I could not wait to get out that country.
Yeah, fuck that, dude.
For real.
Bro, that's like saying, like in World War II, like, hey, they want you to do a show in Berlin.
East or West?
We talked about it on Patreon, right, Doc? Didn't we do the North Korea one?
Yeah.
I thought we did. Bruh, that whole situation is crazy. They didn't even tell the State Department they were going over there.
Yeah.
Bruh. Dude, no. Look, Ric Flair is a colossal mess up. Ric Flair said to me he got off that plane and got back to America. He kissed the crown. There's no way. Bruh, Doc, is there a dollar amount you would take to even go to North Korea?
No.
There's not a dollar amount.
If you fart wrong, nobody will see you again.
For reasons
Bro.
you don't understand, you become incarcerated for the rest of your life. That's
right.
There isn't a dollar figure you could give me to make me get on a plane to go there.
$1 million.
That
5
ain't
million.
even- No. I'm not going. There's nothing, Boogie, nothing about me says North Korea, okay?
Yeah, I would just stay there. It wouldn't say a word. I'll be just like a statue.
Nope. Bischoff tells a story about how he went jogging. Like, dude.
He's like eating his shot.
Dude, you went jogging? Like, what?
Yeah.
I don't. Some of the stuff that they said on that episode, I was like, did y'all even realize where you were going? I don't know. Just my thoughts.
I don't think they did, because I don't know. I guess back then there was no internet.
Bruh, I learned about North Korea in school before there was an internet. There's nothing about North Korea that I'd want to go to. But that's just me. All right. Let's continue. The assassin is cutting a promo. Doc, I got to play it. It's not that long. Just look at the mask on his head. That's all I want to say, and we'll talk about it on the other side. Here it is.
Well, it's truly an honor to be invited to the Legends reunion at Slamboree 93. Some of the greatest competitors to ever step foot in the ring are going to be there. I also have the honor of introducing a couple of more that are going to be there. Black Jack Mulligan, Lord James Blears. Now, I know that Dusty Rhodes was on this program last week, and he's going to be there. And, you know, he's approaching this thing with a very lighthearted and cavalier attitude. Well, Rhodes, I want you to know one thing. I had the list of a lot of people that are going to be there that we feel we still got a score to settle with you. So I want to tell you one thing. Show up with your party face. If you get too close to me during the course of the evening, when you leave there, that party face is going to be turned into a face of pain. And I never forgive, and I don't forget.
All right. Assassin's so fat at this point in his life.
How did he get that mask on? And who
it's like
in the
he's
back tied it up?
It's like he's got a half pint sized Trojan condom, but he needs a Magnum. I mean, it doesn't fit, bruh. It's his face is overflowing through the mask.
I don't think his eyes are open.
Bruh.
How could they be?
It looks like if you put a mask on Tony Soprano on the last season.
I don't know, man. Tony's face wasn't that fat.
Come on.
All right, Doc. Thoughts on the actual promo?
They're not going to go
Mhm.
fight. What are we going to do there? How are we going to pay that off?
Yeah, what are we going to do with these old guys? They're going to drag this out, too, just so you know.
I'm sure they will.
Yeah. Okay, let's continue. We go to the Hollywood Blondes, Steve Austin and Brian Pillman versus Joey Maggs and Larry Santo. Quick match. What are your thoughts, Doc?
The Austin reel with his hands is stupid. Their boots light up because they're from Hollywood. Wonder how much that cost. I love these two guys, but WCW does not know what they have on their hands here.
It's crazy. They got these two stars and they don't know what they have.
Stars.
Let's be real. Vince McMahon didn't know what he had with Steve Austin either at first. Chili McFreeze, the ringmaster. He flat out said it in that A&E documentary. I thought he was just another guy, another Texan. Yeah. So just keep that in mind. It was he stumbled upon gold. It wasn't like he saw it from the beginning.
Yeah.
All right.
WCW would stumble on gold and get up and like bury the gold deeper.
Man,
Maybe
those boots look horrible.
with the lights in them.
You wouldn't even see them.
Right, because of where they're at.
Right. And even if you could see them, they're a distraction.
What do you need that shit for?
Yeah,
Right.
It doesn't really do anything for you.
No.
Well, we'll go to the finish, Doc. There's a drop kick by Pillman. Pillman then slams Santo, and they do the rocket launcher for the win. 1, 2, 3, and that is it. Over with and out. Nothing else to really see here. From there, we're going to go to Austin and Pillman cutting a promo after the match. Let's go to that right now. Here it is.
All right, Jess, thanks very much. As Jesse the Body Ventura is making his way here around anything that has to do with Hollywood, the World Tag Team Champions, the Hollywood Blondes.
Tony, just when the critics read Hollywood its last rites and began the pilgrimage out to Florida to Universal Studios, the Blondes burst upon the scene, were splashed all over the tabloids. It's got to be one of the most exciting times for old Tinseltown.
Come on, Tony, don't you know who the biggest stars in Hollywood are right now? It's the Blondes. And you don't have to wait on a midnight clear to look up and see all the stars, Tony. You can see them right here.
Oh, yeah, that's nice. Right there, the stars.
You know, Tony, why is it that you're the butt of every joke?
All right, guys, let's talk. Let's talk about the top challengers, the World Tag Team Championship. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat and Shane Douglas, the former Tag Team Champions.
Challengers! Those two bums can't even coordinate their travel schedule. The family man's out here. His adopted stepson's nowhere to be found. You expect them to have a chance against the team of the 90s?
You make
the
me
next
sick.
Dynasty in tag team wrestling.
Steamboat's out here, Ricky.
You know something, Blonde? It's typical of you guys to make fun of Shane Douglas. That's right. You make fun because he had mechanical problems on a flight and couldn't be here. But let me tell you something. You call yourself the team of the 90s. Well, I've been involved with tag teams from the 70s, from the 80s, and from the 90s. That's right. I've had partners like Dusty Rhodes, Paul Jones, Jay Youngblood, Dustin Rhodes, and now Shane Douglas. That's right, I've been a world tag team champion on 8 different occasions. Count them. So if you're talking about brushing with greatness, you're brushing with it right now. And as far as tag team combination goes, I've probably forgotten more tag team than you two guys will ever know combined.
Do you realize who he's talking to?
Hey, Pelt.
All right, here we go.
Dragon Ricky Steamboat taking out both Stunning Steve and Flying Brian, the world champions, but how long can he manage that?
That's a good question, Jesse, because he has gone after both men. Wait a minute, Shane Douglas has arrived. He's arrived to the arena. Douglas is making his way in with his briefcase, his suitcase.
All right, Doc. So you heard it. I thought Austin and Pillman were great there, especially when they were mocking Steamboat towards the end of that before they started brawling. What are your thoughts?
Not only that, I thought Steamboat was really good there. He actually sounded tough and like he had some skins in the wall for a change.
Well, I thought maybe mentioning he was with the 70s kind of it made him sound too old.
How hokey how hokey was it that Douglas came out with an empty briefcase?
No. Something fell out.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess his gear fell out. You could see it like towards the end of it. When he hits, I think he hit Austin. When he hit him, a bunch of stuff falls out. Watch. Look in the ring. There's gear that comes out.
Yeah. So I guess you call it a mega bus. And he made it.
I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually thought that was funny when he talked about 70s, 80s, and 90s. That made me think about the Flair for the Gold segment when Pillman and Austin are just going off on Arn and Flair, basically just calling them old men.
Yeah.
Like when they said that, but we'll get to that. Obviously, that's not too far off. But anyway, you saw it there. Steamboat is getting jumped by them. Pillman. Douglas comes out, clears the ring, uses Halliburton briefcase, and that's that. From there, we're going to go to... It was good. It was fine.
Yeah.
The thing is, Douglas don't have much longer. Like I think the story is I said it earlier, May 7th, he's gone. After May 7th, he's gone. He does have a match on the May Power Hour show that was taped on the 7th. And then they give Douglas his notice, and he's not fired, but basically the notice was that he was given was, hey, we're going to retain you, but we'll pay you less than your existing deal. And that's when Shane's like, see ya. And that was it. So he technically didn't get fired, according from what I understand.
Right. He just said, no, I quit.
Yeah. And then he's going to become the franchise soon.
Yeah.
From there, we go to Cactus Jack versus Big Van Vader. They don't wait long.
He's Dean Douglas first, right?
He's already been Dean Douglas.
No, dude.
No.
He hasn't been Dean Douglas yet. He goes to
Dean Douglas is 95, I think.
Or something like that.
Oh, shit.
He goes
okay,
to ECW, then he leaves and goes to...
Oh, okay. That's right. Yeah, because doesn't he... I thought he went to ECW when he leaves here.
He does.
Oh,
okay.
He does? Okay.
And if he doesn't, I'm just saying it like I know what I'm talking about. So
okay, so send that feedback to Luke Hawks and Hardbody Harper on Facebook. They love hearing from listeners, so please send that to them. They would love to hear that, especially Harper. He loves getting DMs on Facebook. He's on Facebook all the time. Yeah, send it to him. All right, we go to Cactus Jack versus Vader. They don't wait. Harley Race tries sneaking Cactus from behind, but Cactus slams him. And then Cactus turns his attention to Vader, and they are brawling on the floor. Jesse says as they're brawling, they ain't wrestling, it's fighting. I actually disagree with Jesse. This is wrestling the way we like it. We got a personal issue. We need to draw some money. Let's get this shit on and popping. So I actually thought it is wrestling. And Cactus is punching the shit out of Vader in the jaw right there. When we get to the finish, I'll tell you something that I read from what Crockett sent me from Cactus's book about the actual finish. Doc, I have a couple timestamps. The first one's coming up at 106:40. Did you have anything before that you wanted to cover?
Mine's at 106:50.
All right, we probably got the same one then. So 106:40, let's go to it now.
And my point was earlier they were throwing live rounds, both of them.
Oh, you could see it when they were on the floor. Cactus is punching him in the jaw. So right here, Cactus drops Vader on the barricade. Bam. Oh.
Damn.
Then he goes over to Harley, punches him, and slams him. Then he elbow drops Harley Race, as old as he is, taking slams on the floor. Cactus is going to deliver the elbow drop, which is nothing compared to the slam, because Cactus is taking the brunt of that. But the crowd loves this. I mean, they are going nuts. Cactus is over. This is good stuff. I really enjoyed it, especially after what we saw last week. Doc, I have another one at 108.50.
Okay.
What did you have that, or you got something before then?
After.
All right. So at 108.50, Vader is going to catch Cactus coming off the top rope, and then he just drops him like a bag of potatoes. It's an impressive move because he's catching Cactus, and Cactus is not a small man. Harper, you've been in front of him in person.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Man.
He just caught, and then look how he slammed him. Jesus Christ. These two big sons of guns are going at it. They ain't playing. This is not fun and games. We doing this thing. That elbow drop hurt me to the gut just now. All right. I got one at 111.20. Did you have one before that, Doc?
No.
All right. So we get a Vader bomb. Oh shoot, I went too far. Hold on.
There you go, Mike.
111.20. We get a Samoan drop by Vader and then a Vader bomb. But even the Samoan drop, watch how he just
Man.
Cactus is taking a beating, and this is nothing compared to what's coming. Speaking of which, before we get to the Vader bomb, when I get to the finish, Dusty told Cactus, you don't have to take that finish. We can do something else. Harley told him the same thing, according to Cactus. So he had heard that Vader told him, Cactus, you don't have to take it. Cactus is like, no, I want to take it. And Crockett told us this last week. When Cactus ends up taking his finish, Cactus actually told his wife and kids, like, whatever happens, I love you. Like, he didn't know if he was going to make it through this. This is according to Cactus's book. All right. So anyway, we're at 112.08 now, Doc. What do you have after that, if anything?
Mine's going to be the finish. And so we could go ahead and do that because this has been crazy so far, but yeah.
So here's a finish. We're going to watch it here. Now, this is going on with 6 minutes to go. So we got a lot of time, even though we're going to the finish, because this is the last match. They're on the floor. Cactus body slams Vader. Cactus goes to hit Vader with a cannonball, but Vader moves, and Cactus just splat on the floor. So it's important for us to see that, because here it comes. Splat.
God, dude.
He bounced. He bounced off that thin mat. Now, Vader Harley Race peels the mat back because the mats are still around the ring. So we now got the concrete exposed. Vader is going to go for the power bomb. Tell you what, let's get some audio on this. Here it is.
Wait a minute. Race is telling Vader something. That's the concrete, Tony. Race has removed the mats.
If he power bombs him here, Chesley, he'll kill it.
Did you hear the thud?
Yes. That's just rough, dude.
He protected him too.
Cactus says in the book. Cactus says in his book, that Vader could not have put him down any lighter to make it look like an actual power bomb. Because if you watch him, he kind of carries him low as far as he can. But still, you're on the concrete. It hurts. And you hear the thud from Cactus's body just splat. It's rough.
The crowd didn't know how to react either.
Right.
Now, granted, some of it's on the other side of the ring.
But they're in shock, and they're going to continue being in shock. My thought was, so Cactus gets counted out. I think you take this, it's like you're actually over more than ever, because it's like, oh my God, look what it took to beat him. He had to power bomb him on the floor. We go to commercial and come back. They're bracing Cactus's neck, and there's all kind of, what's supposed to be paramedics out there checking on him. Even Jesse's worried. So, we know Jesse's been this heel, but he's got this somber tone. He's like, I don't know if we'll ever see Cactus wrestle again. The people in the building that they're panning around to, they look shocked. You see fans that are concerned for Cactus. Like I said, he's over, but the seriousness in the building is something else at this moment, because people are legitimately worried about Cactus. And as we go off air, they're going to load him into the ambulance, and we go off with Cactus on his way to the hospital.
I would argue that Jesse really helped sell it by being somber. Like, that was really good on his part.
Yeah, I agree. Now, when he's on the ground, I don't know if this is doing commercial because I don't see Scorpio right now. In Cactus's book, he talks about he actually was legitimately hurt. He said, I'm trying to move my hand and I'm having trouble. And he says, Scorpio, I'm laughing now because we know Cactus is fine. But he says Scorpio comes out and is standing above him. And he goes, how you doing, you sexy thing? Scorpio asked him that in an attempt to make him laugh. And Cactus looks up and goes, Scorp, I can't move my foot. Like, I guess he was, I don't know. They don't go into that as to why he couldn't move his foot, but he was legitimately hurting from this. This was pretty damn brutal as he goes to the hospital. Now, Doc, you weren't here last week. Dusty's whole idea was to do this gimmick where they hurt him so bad that, as Dusty said, kid, you gonna go away for three months or so. You gonna have amnesia. So get ready for Cactus Jack with amnesia. That's all I'll say.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
Y'all are gonna be mad at some of the segments they do. I can tell you that right now. But for the moment, this was some good shit. This is how you do it. Okay. I mean, you said it earlier. You can't just keep hurting somebody like this. Well,
right.
You're right. That's why they had to do this the way they did it.
Okay. And it's hard to argue with the results, man. And they didn't roll out the Smoky Mountain Wrestling World War II hammock for a stretcher. They did it right.
Yeah.
Harper, remember when Robert Fuller and Jimmy Golden had the World War II gurney? And they dumped that poor bastard off of it. Yes. I don't even remember who they had on it. Well, there was some wild stuff in the Smoky Mountains, man. That shit was shot in the 90s, but it may as well have been the 60s.
That fucking dude. Remember that shit? And then the two guys that were the quote unquote EMTs.
Right. Oh, boy. One of them had a mullet.
Yeah.
Harper goes, who are these two assholes?
Sir, that's the medical staff.
All right. Doc, any thoughts how they went off air today? Because, I said last week, we always would complain about how they go off air. They do something big, and then they have something stupid after, right? Last week, they go off air with this situation hot and heavy. This week, Cactus is being, rolled out on a gurney. I mean, I don't know if you could do it any better. Which leaves us to the rating and the Rolex if you got nothing else.
I think we're ready.
All right, so let's rate it, hand out the Rolex and the Toot Toot Award. Before we do so, as a reminder, the only way you can listen to the Slamboree review is by going to tinyurl.com/PatreonBTT. That is tinyurl.com/PatreonBTT. Tons of extra shows. You get the Ask Mud Show Mike episodes, the Ask Doc episodes. I'm going to have to try to talk Harper into a Ask Harper episode. I just can't be held responsible for when he goes off on you. When he answers.
You don't play well in the sandbox on this thing.
tinyurl.com/PatreonBTT. Get all the JV Goon Squad shows there as well. The world-class shows with Lance and I. Great stuff. 400 plus Patreon exclusive shows are available there. All right, Doc, let's rate it. What are you giving it?
Man, I feel like we got pay-per-view quality. In that last angle, we also had some good matches. I'm going to give it an A+, man.
I got to give it an A+ as well, Harper.
Yeah. I'll give this an A just for the ending.
You notice the people in the stands are like,
wow, look at that.
They are concerned. Everybody they pan to is like, wait, this is some real shit. He's really hurt.
Yeah, because it's real EMTs using real medical equipment.
Yeah. So then that leaves the Rolex and the Toot Toot Award, Doc. I think I know who's getting it, but let me go to you.
Well, I'm glad we had a great episode tonight, and I'm giving my Rolex award to Robert Silva.
That's fair.
Yeah.
And my Toot Toot Award goes to Cactus.
So, only question I have is, did you consider Vader the way he took care of him on that powerbomb on the floor?
Man, maybe, but you still got to take it.
Yeah, it's true. That was a thud. Harper, your Rolex and Toot Toot Award, or, one or the other.
Yeah, Silva. I'm giving mine to, Silva. Passed on way too early. And to Cactus was just taking all this shit. Fuck.
He's a brave man.
Yeah.
He's a brave man.
But he elicited a reaction there And it's something that they just didn't pick up on as a company. Like, oh, he could get a reaction.
I don't know. I mean, they're gonna go with the Cactus and Vader feud.
Sure. Okay.
No, I mean, I'm just saying. It's like, I think you're saying that because then you see what happened in WWF.
Yeah.
I just don't. I mean, they just don't have. They just weren't going to pull it off in WCW.
You could have stopped that sentence by saying they just don't have and been okay. It's WCW.
I don't know. I mean, they did pull themselves up during the Monday Night Wars, but after making record profit, then they lose $60 million or whatever the figure was. I don't even remember what it is now.
$2 billion.
So, I don't know. But this was good stuff, man. This was a special episode. From now on, we're gonna have to see what happens with Cactus. It's gonna get a little hokey at times, guys. So just bear with us. That's all I can say. Yeah. Some of the segments you're gonna be like, "What are they doing?" I'm just worried about Harper having a stroke at some point.
Don't. He'll be all right.
Okay.
Don't make fun of that tonight on any night. Don't make.
No,
fun
I
of
don't
that.
mean it. Come on, I don't mean it like that.
Come on, I'm telling you to come on.
No, you come on.
You come on.
I mean, you know how Harper gets worked up when he
I know.
sees
I
some
don't
of
want
this
him to
stuff.
expire right here.
Well, nobody said nothing about expiring. You're saying expiring.
You said a stroke. That's pretty serious.
I didn't say a stroke that would expire him.
Oh, just a debilitating stroke. Okay.
Maybe just one that just, freezes up the side of his face for a day or two.
Makes him look like JR. I get it.
Wow,
Okay.
come on.
Nobody said that, of course.
You implied it.
You're an asshole. You know that?
Yes, thank you.
All right. On that note, Doc, anything else before we get out of here this week?
Let's go. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, we're going to hit the go home cue right off into the sunset. Once again, R.I.P. Silva. We're thinking about your family. His mother's still alive. His mother was living with him, so I don't know what's going to happen. I did see on Twitter he being cremated. I don't believe they were having any type of big service. So for anybody who was wondering that. But yeah, his mother's still alive and she's up in age. So I hope she's all right. That's all I know right now. So R.I.P. Silva. Doc, Harper, hit the tagline. Let's roll.
Book it, biatch.
How the piss do you people listen to these useful idiots? These dipshits think they're fucking funny, but they ain't fucking funny. And somebody needs to tell them that. This goddamn show needs more D-Man and less of dipshit, Doc, hard-boiled Harper, and this vanilla ice Snoop Dogg, mumble, mouth, Mills. You have to be an imbecile to find these three fuckers entertaining. Fucking clown show. This is A.I. Eric Bischoff. No, I am not the real Bischoff, so don't work yourself into a shoot like these useful idiots in the wrestling media field. With that said, congratulations on making it to the end of this week's show. Don't forget to send your comments about what the guys discussed tonight to Luke Hawks on Facebook and on Twitter or X or whatever the piss they call it now. The rumor is Luke likes answering BTT fan mail. Also, do the guys a solid by liking the show's Facebook, X, and Instagram pages. And don't forget to like and retweet or repost the show on all social media platforms. Lastly, become a BTT patron member where you get tons of extra shows. You can join at tinyurl.com/PatreonBTT. Until next week, piss off.